insane. Crumbling towers, streets in flames, forgotten heroes, who knows their names? Broken futures, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello friends, this is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today's September 15th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. A lot to get to today. As usual, more fallout from the Charlie Kirk assassination. Of course, your usual profiteers from tragedy all over the interwebs doing that. Government virtue signaling like they're not tyrannical maniacs. And all your right-wingers calling for cancel culture and laughing at due process. So that's where we are here. It's pretty bad, man. It's really bad. The alleged assassin, I'm saying this guy's a patsy, but they're going to go with it. It's the official story. Allegedly, they got him on Discord talking about he did it. Talking about it was me on Discord, allegedly. Discord has denied this. They don't care. Your Mockingbird media is running with that narrative, and so is the government. Strangely enough, Vice President J.D. Vance hosted Charlie Kirk's show from the White House today. We have some clips of that. Well, Stephen Miller on that show says that he's going to war with the left over this. And so, of course, we wouldn't have that any other way to divide and conquer us here in America. And your crime syndicate known as the federal government here now under the Trump administration has rolled out martial law there in Memphis. I guess they haven't got there yet, but he signed an executive order for law and order in Memphis. And all your right-wingers share that on. Truly disgusting. They've taken out, that is the Trump administration, Southcom, more specifically, has taken out another alleged drug boat. Due process, who cares? Trump says he saw the evidence and, well, that's enough for everybody, right? Yeah. As Venezuela is preparing for war with America here now. We got a little bit of public health news. Strangely enough, Bobby Kennedy Jr. says he met Charlie Kirk when he was 8 years old. It's bizarreness around all of this. Out of the Middle East, what do we got? Al-Qaeda meets CENTCOM, met Erdogan out of Turkey. It's amazing. Amazing stuff. A bunch of Republicans are in Aardvark land celebrating genocide, I guess. We have amazing clips from that. We've got our Secretary of State, little Marco Rubio, over there kissing the Wailing Wall, just like. It's truly dystopic where we find ourselves at. You got Netanyahu, shadow president, says he'll strike Hamas wherever they are. You and I can be called Hamas by these maniacs and then come whack you. They're leveling Gaza City. That continues. We have video of them leveling the place. A lot from these meetings, back and forth. Yeah, the genocide there in Aardvark land continues. And American Secretary of State praises it. And Trump praises it. And so we're just, it's beyond the pale, man. It's beyond the pale. All right, let's get to this day in history. On this day in history, of September 15th, going all the way back to the year 1616, the first non-aristocratic free public school in Europe is opened in Italy on this day in 1616. And brainwashing the minds of the youth ever since. Fast forward to 1656, England and France signed peace treaty. In 1683 on this day, Germantown in Pennsylvania is founded by 13 immigrant families. In 1789 on this day, U.S. Department of Foreign Affairs was renamed to Department of State. It should be called Department of Aardvark Land now. Fast forward to 1916, part of the Industrial Revolution and bringing on even more horrific horrors of war, the first use of tanks in war. On this day in 1916, we saw the first use of tanks in warfare. Britain's Mark I Little Willies at the Battle of Flers and Courcelette, part of the Battle of Somme. In 1928 on this day, Scottish bacteriologist Alexander Fleming discovers penicillin while sorting through petri dishes containing colonies of the bacteria. Wasn't that good of them? Some medicine that actually works? Outlaw it, ban it. In 1935, on this day, Nuremberg laws deprive German aardvarks of citizenship and make the swastika the official symbol of Nazi Germany. That's very nice of them. On this day in 1966, Lyndon Baines Johnson urges for gun control, responding to a sniper attack at the University of Texas at Austin. He writes a letter to the United States Congress urging the enactment of gun control legislation. Isn't that coincidental? Today they call for it as well, but banning the trans. Allegedly, well, let me get to this. Women's rights. Here you go. In 1981, on this day, Sandra Day O'Connor became the first woman Supreme Court justice, as she was confirmed unanimously by the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. Women's rights. And everybody's rights. Everybody's favorite cartoon villain, George Soros, on this day in 1992, with his Quantum Fund, began selling large amounts of pound sterling, helping force the pound out of the European exchange rate mechanism the next day and earning him the label of the man who broke the Bank of England. In 1997, on this date, Google.com is registered as a domain name, and they've been social engineering ever since. We do appreciate the mind control efforts coming out of that outfit. And just last year, time flies when there's never-ending propaganda, lies, and psyops coming out of your government and media, right? A year ago, on this day, 2024, Trump assassination attempt foiled. We're told to believe this. Man arrested and charged with the attempted assassination of former U.S. President. I don't know why they leave former in there. He is then the president. Donald Trump. This is that roof guy, I think. I don't even keep track of it anymore. It's all BS. I think this was that guy. Yeah, stalking him outside his golf course, allegedly. And that guy had like a weird past with intelligence and all these weird trips around the world and no income and all this kind of stuff. Looked like an intelligence agency patsy to me. I don't know. Just saying, man. And then coincidentally enough, on this day, in our civil liberties history, going back to 1976, ACLU sues Memphis over destroyed police spying files. DA coincidentally enough, right as the National Guard is set to go into Memphis, Tennessee for law and order. But due process, FU, conspiracy theorist, left winger commie. The ACLU on this day filed suit against the city of Memphis, Tennessee, over the case of 180 police intelligence files that were reportedly destroyed by burning. The burning came to light the previous week when it was reported that the chief of police had burned one file rather than show it to Eric Carter, former regional director of Vietnam Veterans Against the War, who believed he had been spied upon. Carter had requested the file under the Freedom of Information Act. Yeah, what the hell? Just burn it. You know what I mean? Law and order. And call this a veteran from Vietnam a left-wing commie. You know what I mean? Back to blue. What the hell? That's where we're at here with idiocracy. I can't believe people are this stupid. I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Are people this weird? Allegedly, my wife was telling me, I don't even look at this stuff, know it. The alleged shooter was into, what's it called? Transgender maxing. Like, it's hard to even, I'm not even going there, but there's just weird stuff. And if you're this weird, easily, persuadable, then that's why all this crap is set up to target the easily impressionable youth to use as patsies in government assassination programs. It's a damn shame, man. Here's the Department of Homeland Security. Who knew? Who knew? Charlie Kirk was martyred for his belief in free expression, his faith, and his unabashed love for his country. His sacrifice has steeled our resolve, redoubled our commitment, and only increased our determination to save America at this critical turning point. That's the government. That's straight from the Department of Homeland Security is saying this. Here's the video from them, and then we'll get into the news. This is a long video. I don't know if we can even play the whole thing. We got a lot of videos. This is Department of Homeland Security, man, right from the government propaganda machine.
This is Micah Bach, Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. This week at Utah Valley University, a gunman consumed by evil and hatred assassinated Charlie Kirk. Many of us at DHS, including myself, knew Charlie personally. Charlie Kirk was the heartbeat of a movement. At just 31 years old, his earnest faith and love for America touched the soul of everyone who knew him, including my own. For many, he was their entryway into political thought and discourse, and his earnest debates and willingness to listen brought many apolitical men and women into the movement. Through Turning Point USA, Charlie poured his life into mentoring college students, lifting them up with truth and courage, and showing us that we could fight for our country's future. To lose him rips our hearts apart. Charlie's eternal reward is secure, but here we mourn a hero whose legacy continues to grow. Secretary Noem and every person at DHS joins in fervent prayer for the Kirk family, for healing in our nation, and righteous judgment on those who committed this heinous act.
Do you believe that Charlie Kirk's murder has been a turning point for the tone?
I think it's a turning point for that video. I can't believe it, honestly. That's right from the Department of Homeland Security. Charlie Kirk, and of course it was a tragic event, and you shouldn't cheer on anyone's death, obviously. It's in very bad taste, to say the least. Charlie Kirk's death supercharges right-wing cancel culture. They're on the interwebs right now. If you said anything about Charlie Kirk trying to get you fired from your job, kicked off the internet, they've already done it to a few different people here now. And so everything that all these, quote, right-wingers said they were against, now they're for because they're in power, and they say they're the good guys, and it's perfectly fine. And FU due process as well, as they're literally burning the country down in front of our face, what it's supposed to stand for: law and order, due process, FU, pro-crime, right-wing commie. Huh? Yep. It doesn't even make any sense anymore, because they've lost the thread of their argument and they look like utter hypocrites. But here's old, what's this stupid guy? I can't even remember. He's from Ben Shapiro's outfit, Matt Walsh. He says, there's a big difference between the left canceling people and the right canceling people. The left cancels you for saying things that are true. To the extent that the right cancels you, it is for saying things that are abhorrent and sick. A pretty important distinction. Really? You're running around judge, jury, executioner, calling to cancel people. Here's Rubio, little Marco, little aardvark man. He says that, well, here's the video. He's going to cancel your visa if you're caught on the internet disparaging Charlie Kirk.
We should not be giving visas to people who are going to come to the United States and do things like celebrate the murder, the execution, the assassination of a political figure. We should not. And if they're already here, we should be revoking their visa. Why would we want to bring people into our country that are going to engage in negative and destructive behavior? We should.
I don't know. He's Aardvark's best friend. I don't know. You tell me. What do we even know? And people are making the point, which is a good one. Oh, now you right-wing MAGAs trust the FBI. Good job, loser idiots. You got there's stories all over the place, misconstrued, confusing, doesn't follow the right timeline. The evidence doesn't make any sense. Kash Patel today on Fox News, of course, and they post Fox News everywhere like they're legitimate. It's the freaking war channel. They're disgusting. Just like your MSNBC and all the rest of these freaking propagandist, war profiteer Mockingbird media outlets. Maybe someday, I seriously doubt America will ever wake up. So Kash Patel goes on there. I don't even like looking at his stupid face anymore. He's such a liar. At least we're not talking about Epstein, right? He says, I can report today that DNA from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver positively processed for the suspect in custody. Oh, good job with the due process there for the alleged gunman on Fox News. What the hell? Let's play it. These guys are just pieces of garbage.
We flexed all resources the FBI had and surged multiple air assets as soon as this shooting occurred. We were cycling in agents, evidence response technicians, hostage rescue technicians, and special operators in and out of Utah, cycling evidence back and forth on these FBI planes as soon as we could so that there was no delay. And what we did once I got there, along with the deputy on the ground around 5 p.m. local on September 11th, was walk the entire crime scene, including the foots the suspect himself took. And what we learned was there was evidence, DNA evidence that could be collected and had been collected, including a screwdriver that was found on the rooftop. Also, we went over to the scene in the wooded area where the firearm was discarded. And the firearm had a towel wrapped around it. It's important. I'll get back to that later. I even walked into the wooded area in the ravine, so I knew from my investigative experience what I could bring to the table and what decisions I needed to make. And having the support of President Trump and the full support of the White House was what we needed for these resources to happen. And I can report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody.
That's good of them. We do appreciate the due process. I don't know. Was it a guy close up? There's a bunch of videos saying, no, it was this guy right close to him. I don't know. The alleged shooter is not cooperating. Tyler Robinson, right? That's his name. He's allegedly into this weird transgender incel type behavior on the interwebs. Who even knows, man? Like I said, this guy looks like your textbook patsy. Tyler Robinson's grandmother says their entire family are Republicans. I don't even know a single Democrat. Did that radicalize him? Who knows? Is this guy the guy? Who knows? Can you trust the government? No. His grandmother says there's no way that he's the shooter. You would expect that from his grandmother, right? Allegedly, he left behind ammunition engraved with messages referencing fascism, video games, and obscure internet memes. It's just so freaking also weird. But they've already convicted the guy. You know what I mean? And the government and the media have already convicted this guy. And now this story today from the Washington Compost. It was me. Suspect in Charlie Kirk shooting appeared to confess in Discord chat. Discord says this is not true. Last I saw, there'll be a back and forth of that, I'm sure. Here's the alleged chat. He says, they go on to say here from the Washington Compost, the 22-year-old suspect in Charlie Kirk's killing appears to have confessed to friends in an online chat shortly before turning himself into law enforcement, according to two people familiar with the chat and screenshots obtained by the Washington Compost. Hey guys, I have bad news for you all, said a message from an account belonging to suspect Tyler Robinson. Who knows who the hell wrote that? On the online platform Discord, it was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all this. The message was sent Thursday night, about 2 hours before officials said Robinson was taken into custody. A member of the group chat shared an image of the conversation with the post and confirmed that it came from Robinson's account. The person spoke on the condition of anonymity to protect their privacy and out of fear of harassment. Cancel them too. What the hell? The Discord conversation shared with the post shows members of the group chat reacting to Kirk's shooting last Wednesday. Before the news broke that Robinson was allegedly involved, the group included about 30 people, according to the person who provided screenshots. Charlie Kirk got shot, one friend wrote Wednesday afternoon, according to an image of the messages. I just saw the video. Holy S. Another user wrote about an hour and a half later, adding of Kirk, bro didn't deserve to go out like that, sad. The only response from Robinson's account came the next day with the message announcing, quote, bad news, I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. The message posted at 7:57 p.m. local time in Utah continued. Thanks for all the good times and laughs. You've all been so amazing. Thank you all for everything. Having a hard time buying this. Continuing here. No, strange, bizarre. They were good friends, and Vance thanks them. So I guess we can, in his grave, thank Charlie Kirk for his part in helping to usher in technocracy. So we do appreciate that, right? Here is Vice President J.D. Vance, and all the right wingers love it. Vance got my vote. Well, Peter Thiel and Musk and technocracy, thank you. I wish you would look into how horrifying of a system that they've instituted here now, and it's gaining steam by the second, by the minute, by the hour, by the day, but they refuse. And they scream, you're pro-crime, call me in your face when you point out, hey, I thought you guys were for due process. here is J.D. Vance hosting Charlie Kirk's podcast show from the White House today.
J.D. Vance here, live from my office in the White House complex and filling in for somebody who cannot be filled in for, but I'm going to try to do my best. My dear friend, the great Charlie Kirk. The last several days have been extremely hard for our country. They've been hard for me, hard for my family, hard for the countless people in this building who knew and loved Charlie Kirk. And of course, they've been hardest most of all for his darling wife, Erica, and their two beautiful children. The thing is, every single person in this building, we owe something to Charlie. He was a joyful warrior for our country. He loved America. He devoted himself tirelessly to making our country a better place. He was a critical part of getting Donald Trump elected as president, getting me elected as vice president. And so much of our success over the last 7 months is due to his efforts, his staffing, his support, and his friendship. I don't think that I'm alone in saying that Charlie was the smartest political operative I ever met. Everyone knew him as this fearless debater, this guy who would take the conservative message into hostile places and inspire younger generations to have courage. One thing that's hit a lot of those young Americans over the last week was how Charlie was there for them when others were not. When they were afraid to speak their minds, when they were afraid of what a professor would say, when they were afraid that they would be shouted down by their peers, Charlie was there, showing them that they could be courageous and that they could be bold. Charlie was a visionary. He was a luminary. He brought together people. He didn't just teach people how to speak. He didn't just teach people what to say. He didn't just teach people they could actually speak their mind on campus. He created a whole social network for an entire generation of young people. I know people who met their husband, who met their wife, who met the best man at their wedding at a TPUSA event. Because as you guys all know, it's not just about speaking our mind, it's about making friends along the way and creating that support network that won an election and that staffed the current federal government.
There's more from Vance. If you vote for Vance, you're voting for scientific dictatorship technocracy.
You know, I'm sitting in this office here in the West Wing or White House complex, and if it weren't for Charlie Kirk, I would not be the Vice President of the United States.
To me, that's the most damning, but MAGA right-wingers refuse to see it. Of course, his organization is now blowing up. It says we now have 37,000 applications to start Turning Point USA chapters all around the country. I tried to work with these guys during the medical intervention because they were protesting forced miracles at the university. They didn't want nothing to do with me. Too much truth. Just saying.
You know, there are, I guess, currently 900 official chapters of Turning Point on college campuses. And that's, you know, when you get at about 900, 920, give or take, kids graduate, you got to kind of rebuild a few chapters. That's about what you're going to get to. And we have 1,200 high school chapters, which was our big new initiative. And we were really proud when the high school chapters eclipsed the college chapters, because we were known as the college thing. And so there's about 23,000 high schools in America, 24,000. And I'll never forget this. This is a really funny moment a couple weeks ago in Aspen. And Charlie was like, we are going to have a Club America, which is the high school brand, on all 23,000. He didn't know that.
Team America. Here's Stephen Miller. He's quite something. Let's hear from Stephen Miller out of the White House.
Walk me through at a high level, like what you and I have been working on, what the whole administration has been working on to try to make sure that we don't reward and promote this craziness.
So it's an excellent question. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. the last message that Charlie sent me was, I think it was just the day before we lost him, which is that we need to have an organized strategy to go after the left-wing organizations that are promoting violence in this country. And I will write those words onto my heart and I will carry them out. If people ask me, what emotions I'm feeling right now, and this is something people say, you kind of know the answer. There's incredible sadness, but there's incredible anger. And the thing about anger is that unfocused anger or blind rage is not a productive emotion.
Right.
But focused anger, righteous anger, directed for a just cause is one of the most important agents of change in human history.
Charlie showed that. Amen.
And we are going to channel all of the anger that we have over the organized campaign that led to this assassination to uproot and dismantle these terrorist networks. So let me explain a little bit what that means. So,
got 30 seconds, so be quick, Stephen.
The organized doxing campaigns, the organized riots, the organized street violence, the organized campaigns of dehumanization, vilification, posting people's addresses, combining that with messaging that's designed to trigger and incite violence, and the actual organized cells that carry out and facilitate the violence, it is a vast domestic terror movement. And with God as my witness, we are going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks and make America safe again for the American people. It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name.
That's what they're doing, what he just described right there. It's fine. They're the good guys on... So Stephen Miller announces that MAGA's going to war with the left wing here in Charlie Kirk's name. It's quite disturbing. We should all be coming together here now, and they want to further divide us as per usual. Divide and conquer, balkanization, classic. America can't figure it out. Sports teams pay tribute to Charlie Kirk over the weekend. And this was kind of odd as well. NFL franchises, including the Green Bay Packers, New York Jets, Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins, New Orleans Saints, Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans, and Arizona Cardinals all held moments of silence or special recognitions. For baseball, the Chicago Cubs, the New York Yankees paid tribute. College football teams such as South Carolina Gamecocks, LSU Tigers, Wyoming Cowboys joined in, as did UFC and NASCAR, showcasing the broad reach of Kirk's influence from the White House. So he's a de facto government propagandist. Here's Simon from Weaponized News made an appearance yesterday on George Galloway's show. Let's take a listen to that now.
Let's go to Simon of Weaponized News. He's got some news on the Charlie Kirk killing. Go ahead, Simon.
Worldwide audience. Well, whilst I'll tangentially gives you some more information about that incident, I would like very much to take a look at the global goings on, as you and I so often do, because as usual, the focus is being directed, like any good illusionist would do, away from the other major events that are occurring, particularly in the Middle East. So it should be noted, following on from Mr. Hinkle's comments about how Charlie Kirk had been espousing in the past these kind of Judeo-Christian and pro-Zionist sentiments. He had had quite significant breakings from that in recent months. And so a lot of the MAGA youth are now going down the track of a conspiracy theory that has some elements of evidence to it, that he was actually assassinated by the operatives of the Israeli government. If any substantiation for that transpires, that is going to take away the final 25% of American youth that actually still support Israel. The large body of public opinion that averages it out currently to around 50 to 55% support for Israel, which during the course of the genocide has massively fallen, is indeed the boomers, okay? The people in the generation 65 plus. So if the Turning Point USA right-wing conservative youth take the belief, even if it's not well-founded, that it's actually a Zionist conspiracy to take revenge against Charlie Kirk from breaking from their fold, it doesn't really matter whether it's proven in a court of law or not. That will be very, very significant indeed. Now, at the same time, Marco Rubio, the American Secretary of State, is in Israel right now, okay? We've had Senator Graham on television in the United States this morning confirming that he's now going to pursue his bill in the US Senate that would empower President Trump to levy massive sanctions, secondary sanctions, against China and India and Brazil, bearing in mind that the tariff powers that he's been relying upon have been ruled unconstitutional twice. And we're now going to have expedited review with the legal papers presented in October and oral arguments likely to be in November, such that we could actually potentially have a decision before Christmas. And as he said when he went on television on Friday, that could require the United States to refund $1 trillion of tariffs. But not only that, if he's made loads of small importers go out of business because they've lost their competitive advantage in the United States by bringing in cheap imports and reselling them mail order, there could be hundreds of billions of dollars of damage claims for that, which completely blow apart the US budget for this year. Bearing in mind, we've just started and we're now on a countdown to a government shutdown in 2 weeks. Okay? So these are the big picture things that are occurring. Now, Trump is going very soon, and I'm sure you'll be there waving your flag, to meet with King Charles and obviously Keir Starmer again. Keir Starmer's single highlight of his foreign policy achievements for his 12 months or 14 months to date is the free trade agreement with India. If Trump comes in and says, our framework agreement that hasn't been signed, hasn't been approved by Congress, hasn't been approved in the Houses of Parliament, I'm going to walk away from that unless you put 100% tariffs on Indian goods, which completely blows apart the UK-India free trade agreement, bearing in mind that they're on the final negotiations of an EU-India free trade agreement as well. And the key word here is trust. Now, he may well have put out on Truth Social that he wants the European Union and other nations to put 100% tariffs on India and China in order to force them to stop supplying goods that can be used in the Russian defense industries and to stop buying Russian energy supplies. Okay, he wants all the other countries to gang up and put 100% tariffs on China and India. But if Britain and or the EU do that, right, let's say the Ukraine war gets a negotiated settlement in the next 12 months. Hypothetically, if they have followed American instructions and put on 100% tariffs, not only will they harm their own economies, not only will they have caused turbo inflation that will have affected their individual voters, but they will have destroyed the trust built up over decade-long, very, very hard-won negotiations with those countries. And even if Trump says, okay, now you can take your 100% tariffs off because we have some kind of ceasefire in Ukraine, you've undone a decade of long technical negotiations with India and China for both Britain and the EU. How do you rebuild that broken trust? Which is exactly what has happened with Qatar. As I've explained to you before, the Gulf cooperation countries, the 6 of them, are members of the NATO Istanbul Cooperation Initiative. They're in a very, very privileged defense arrangement with NATO, like the Republic of Korea, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. And the trust there has been shattered. We have the Emergency Arab Islamic Summit meeting in Doha today with the foreign ministers and tomorrow with the heads of government. And you and I, sir, are in agreement that those are talking shops and often have no definitive outcomes. But it should be noted that the Iranian foreign minister flew to Egypt, met with the Egyptian president before the meeting started today. The Egyptian president, Mr. Al-Sisi, has now called for an Arab version of NATO, not against Iran, but to defend against Israel. The Iranians have come out and said...
Plates, the plates are shifting. I've got to draw it to a halt because it's the hour, Simon, but thanks for your typical eloquence and erudition. I've got to talk to a legend. It's Chairman...
That was a great call by Simon, representing Weaponized News there on the George Galloway Show, laying it out. Very antiseptic, though. I mean, we should support them in assassinating Hamas anywhere and everywhere, even your own home, right? It's unbelievable. We'll get to more of it. Here's a headline out of AP. Maureen Comey, that's James Comey's daughter, who intentionally, it looks like, botched the Diddy sex trafficking trial and the Maxwell sex trafficking trial as well here now. She's suing the Trump administration, looking to get her job back in the government as a prosecutor to go ahead and, throw some more sex trafficking trials for the ring out there. Continuing here, martial law in Memphis. It's coming. Here's what Trump posted on True Social about that. Says the federal government, under my auspices as president of the United States of America, has stepped into a complete criminal mess that was Washington, D.C., our national capital. Because of this, D.C. has gone from one of the most dangerous and murder-ridden cities in the United States of America and even around the world to one of the safest in just a few weeks. The place is absolutely booming with restaurants, stores, and businesses packed, and for the first time in decades, virtually no crime. It has been a beautiful thing to watch, but now under pressure from radical left Democrats, Mayor Muriel Bowser, who has presided over the violent criminal takeover of our capital for years, has informed the federal government that the Metropolitan Police Department will no longer cooperate with ICE in removing and relocating dangerous illegal aliens. If I allowed this to happen, crime would come roaring back to the people and businesses of Washington, D.C. Don't worry, I'm with you, and I won't allow this to happen. I'll call a national emergency and federalize if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. And so Trump's threatening there. He'll just say emergency, and then you have martial law and no rights. And then I guess old MAGA will cheer that on. Restoring law and order in Memphis. Came out of the White House today officially. They're going into Memphis. Make Memphis safe again. From the White House, Trump. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe.
Today, at the request of Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee, who's standing with us, as you know, I'm signing a presidential memorandum to establish the Memphis Safe Task Force, and it's very important because of the crime that's going on, not only in Memphis, in many cities, and we're going to take care of all of them, step by step, just like we did in D.C. We have virtually no crime in D.C. right now, and we're going to keep it that way. It's our nation's capital. We're going to keep it that way, or we're going to federalize it if we had to, but we don't have to anymore because it's in such great shape. This task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here, and you'll see it's a lot of the same thing, although the numbers here are...
I'm old enough to remember that every right-winger would be screaming bloody murder at the fact that the President of the United States is threatening to federalize law enforcement and come into your city. Now they all cheer it on and call you a pro-crime commie if you try to stand up for the Constitution, Bill of Rights, law and order, due process, on and on it goes, what this country's supposed to be founded on. We know that's all bullshit, but I'm just following their line of reasoning here, and they're total hypocrite pieces of garbage government propagandists.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And they cheer as martial law comes in. There you go. Make Memphis safe again. Senator out of Tennessee there, Marsha Blackburn, posted. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe. Memphis has a crime problem, the White House says. This is right out of the White House. Let's take a look. I'm just not convinced. They posted a bunch of these reports. I don't think I'll even play them. You get the picture. President Donald Trump's plan to deploy federal resources, including the National Guard, to Memphis comes amid the Trump administration's push to dismantle the violent crime crisis fueled by failed Democrat policies. Where's the calls for recall of the quote Democrat pro-crime government officials? Where's any accountability? If it's this bad that we need to call a crime emergency and bring in the National Guard and essentially federalize the police, then why is no one in the government held accountable for this epic failure? Here's quotes from those clips. We're grateful for the National Guard coming. Seriously, said the owner of Memphis Tax Service. What an idiot. It's just so dangerous that you can't get out of your car. You can't go to the grocery store. What happens when the National Guard gets in a shootout with one of these black drug gangs is my question. That's going to all turn to hell and be horrific. Where's your local police? Why have they failed so epically? Everybody turns the cheek when it's not in their zip code, but it's becoming a problem for everybody, said a Memphis man who was woken up by a barrage of gunfire in his home. There's a need for more boots on the ground, said the director of a Memphis-based crime prevention organization. I got 2 guns put in my face within 5 minutes at 2 different locations, said a Memphis mom recently robbed and carjacked at gunpoint. And all of this sounds horrific. I don't know about cheering on martial law. I honestly thought he was going to kill me, said a 60-year-old Memphis carjacking victim. And you could see all these stories about the crime there. It's bad. You know what I mean? It's bad. But again, where is accountability for local, quote, officials? It goes on and on and on. All these crimes, carjacking, shootings, robberies, so on and so on. And it's bad. It is bad. Where's accountability for local police department, local sheriffs, mayors, city councils, county board of supervisors, so on? All these people have failed to the point that the federal government, the Trump White House, is telling us, make Memphis safe again. Memphis had the highest violent crime rate, highest property crime rate, and the third highest murder rate in the United States last year, the White House says. Here's an infographic from them. They go on to say, this is, of course, justifying their martial law and crime emergency activities. Memphis's total crime rate is more than 3 times the national average crime rate. Memphis's 2024 murder rate, 40.6 for 100,000, was roughly 4 times that of Mexico City. Mexico, 27 times that of Havana, Cuba, and 37 times that of London, England. Bucking the national trend, violent crime in Memphis rose in 2024. In 2022, Shelby County overhauled its cash bail system, instituting a need-based bail system using the Vera Institute's ability to pay calculator that can often result in cashless or no bail. Continuing here. What is this? Somebody gave me $2. I got $2. Shout out. Let's show that. Super chat, $2. I think that was my first one ever on YouTube. Plutonium Productions. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. He says, Erica Kirk for president 2028. First female, let's go. Might as well. Might as well. As on this day, we celebrated the first Sandra Day O'Connor, first woman on these confirmed at the Senate on this day to go ahead and serve as your Supreme Court woman justice over there. So yeah, might as well. We might as well. Yeah, like I said, there's a bunch of these clips. You saw all the links. Again, Weaponized News Substack channel. I'll post these links, or you can go to X and scroll through the White House feed and find it. But there's a lot of them, man. All these local reports about all this crime. I had a bunch of them, but I'm like, it's bad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what else to say about it, but this is not the solution. The National Guard going in there. I know that. Yeah, just a carjacked, horrific reports by victims of these crimes. I'm not going to play the videos. We got a lot more to cover here. A lot of carjackings going on there, being reported over the whole summer. A lot of crimes. Let's play this one. Oh yeah, they're cheering it on here. We're grateful for the National Guard coming. What about where the hell's our sheriff? Where the hell's our police that we pay taxes locally for to fund and support and supposedly keep law and order? What about all them?
The owner of Centro Hispano, a Latino tax service in Hickory Hill for 15 years, is excited the Guard is coming and not worried about ICE.
We're grateful for the National Guard coming. As far as crime, that's more affecting us than...
It's called posse comitatus. We're not even supposed to have a standing army in this country. And it's tyranny when you have armed troops on your streets. That's tyranny. All right, let's get it straight. Under the guise of a crime emergency here now. Memphis mayor certainly not happy about Trump National Guard deployment. Well, do something about it. Memphis Mayor Paul Young, a Democrat, on Saturday refuted President Trump's claim that he is happy about the president's plan to deploy the National Guard to the Tennessee city. I'm certainly not happy about the National Guard. You should be fired, removed if crime is that bad on your watch, Mayor Paul Young. Where's the calls for that? The authority to call the National Guard lies with the governor. See, that's the rub. That's the rub here, and the president. And so as mayor, my goal is to make sure that if they are indeed coming, that we have an opportunity to drive some of the decisions around how they engage in our community. With regards to the National Guard, it is something that we don't have a choice in, and we're going to do all that we can to make sure that it is limited impact in our community. The mayor added in an interview here with The Hill, had that thought today, maybe Big Brother will take my advice. Oh man, oh man. What do we even do here? It's bad, man. They need to recall this mayor, or he should be heavily campaigning against this. And see, that's the rub. If they have a Republican governor, and at his request, Trump can bring in the National Guard for a, quote, crime emergency. And that's the rub here now, isn't it? And so they're going to continue to do this all over the country with red state governors. And then, of course, blue states are going to push back. And we're stuck back in the left-right divide of Republican Democrats. The entire government are tyrannical maniacs out of their minds. And we'll play this clip. Let's see how long it is, if we can get it to play. I feel like I'm throttled heavily, like just my internet usage on the X and maybe my computer, but having a heck of a time today. And I loaded a bunch of stuff up. I was like, I'm going to restart it. But I already loaded a bunch of stuff, and I was like, let's just go with what you got. I wanted to play this clip. Here we go. Here is what we've been reporting here at Weaponized News for, I'm losing track of time, 2 years. We're in a new era, a new world order, and it does indeed feel like a soft power transfer from the West to the East on Trump's watch, all the time screaming, "Make America Great Again." Here's Finland's president. He says, we are now starting to see the change of a world order. Right now, we're living in a 1918, 1945, or 1989 moment in world history. We just don't know where the world is going to go. I think we do. I think we know exactly where it's going. It's following the one world government agenda, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2050, and beyond. Net zero, goals for sustainable development. I think we know exactly where this is going. Let's hear from the Finnish president.
The sort of turning point was not only 9/11 or the financial crisis 2008, but probably Russia's attack on Ukraine in 2022. And we're now starting to see the change of a world order.
But you say in 2008, you saw Russia change.
But let's all try to stay calm, cool, and collected. There's a lot of this war propaganda going around. We've been able to muster a ceasefire, and let's try to stick to it. Thanks. I gave a speech right after the war. We had gotten a ceasefire in 5 days, where I said, we should wake up and have a look. Power politics is back. Spheres of interest is back. Russian imperialism is not gone. So start adjusting. And of course, it wasn't a very kosher thing to say at the time, and I'm not happy that I was right, but that's what happened.
But no one listened.
Well, some people listened, some didn't. I think kind of a lot of Eastern European countries were right about Russia. Mm-hmm. at that time. But I think we were all sort of in this wave of, yeah, you know, Russia is going to become a democracy. We were even thinking China is going to become a democracy. And, you know, if there is technological advancement, if there is freedom, people are going to use it. There was Arab Spring, et cetera, et cetera. But my argument, the big argument is that right now we're living in a 1918, 1945 or 1989 moment in world history. And now we're in a similar situation. We just don't know where the world is going to go.
I think he knows damn well which way the world's going. There in the chat, they say a writ of mandamus is a court order commanding a government official or entity to perform a mandatory public duty or to refrain from an illegal act. It's an extraordinary remedy used when there is no remedy. But you know, the Supreme Court ruled that the police have no obligation to keep you safe. Everybody should look up that ruling. So the big trade meeting in Europe between the United States of America, what Simon was talking about here, and China has gone very well. Oh, no, this isn't, but it's kind of all ties together to the world economy, trade. Trump says it will be concluding shortly. This is today. A deal was reached on a certain company that young people in our country, he's talking about TikTok. And so isn't this a fascist move? The government just essentially took over or said, TikTok, we're going to shut you down and we're going to force your hand to sell it to picking winners and losers to our chosen buyers of it because of too much antiseptic behavior on your platform. But we're told in the mainstream, it was actually due to being a Chinese propaganda outlet. Let's hear now from the old Secretary of Treasury, who doesn't challenge the Federal Reserve constitutionality. Here he is on, they're finding a buyer for TikTok. Isn't this wonderful?
We have a framework for a TikTok deal. The two leaders, President Trump and Party Chair Xi, will speak on Friday to complete the deal, but we do have a framework for.
There you go. It just speaks to the fact the government has the power. They could revoke the corporate charter of all these corporations, destroying the environment, poisoning us, lying, doing fraud, on and on it goes. They could easily do that. They don't use the power they have because they're in on the scam. They could, that is in your United States federal Congress, repeal the Federal Reserve Act and put that duty of issuing currency and credit debt-free back underneath the Treasury Department, as was originally intended in our Constitution. They could do that. They don't have the political will to do it and never will, but that option's on the table as they, you see them, they bought 10% of Intel. They've rugged TikTok, and so they could do it to anybody. They could do it to anybody. They have the capability. They just need the will here now for the people. But as we see, that's not what this government's about. It's for the select insiders to profiteer handsomely, become billionaires, and F over the rest of us, all while wrapping yourself in the American flag and cheering, "Go America, USA, USA, USA." And that's where we're at here. And right-wing, quote, patriots can't seem to figure this out. And with that, let's take our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com, get yourself some stickers over there. We have the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and we do have the clear sticker in stock as well. I have a new one for you. This is just the kind of tore up demo version. Go to weaponizednews.com. We appreciate all the support from subscribers and from people at the store. I do have an outstanding order. If you're listening out there, I need to get to it. So expect it coming this week. I appreciate it. I'm just little old me. And we do take donations as well, super chats. Appreciate that. And in the description below, all of the different ways you can help out independent reporting and analysis here at Weaponized News. Okay, continuing here. Public health news now. The Trump administration presses Kaiser Permanente on informed consent policies for gender transition services. I agree with it, but what about informed consent policies for miracles as well? And informed consent policies for all medical treatment and procedures, whatever they may be. Used to be, I thought, the gold standard of science here in America. But apparently that was all just a big joke psyop on you. Trust your doctor. Trust the science. Continuing. Bobby Kennedy Jr. here, head of HHS, of course, secretary there. He says, instead of therapy and diagnosis, our schools must return to the natural sources of mental well-being, strong families, nutrition, and fitness, and hope for the future. There you go. And that was a reply to Linda McMahon. I thought they abolished the Department of Education federally, but apparently they're still there. MAHA isn't just about food or fitness. It's about changing the story of health in America. But they never directly address the miracle issue here now, do they? They hem and haw around the edges. Rural America deserves a healthcare system built for reality, not one that's made up of urban leftovers. The Rural Health Transformation Program provides $50 billion across all 50 states, and applications are now open. We encourage governors to think big. That's right out of HHS. Here's your USA Today headline. Kennedy and Dr. Oz, rural America's health care is collapsing. Here's how we transform it. By throwing $50 billion at a failed Rockefeller medicine system. We wouldn't have it any other way. The Chinese are getting richer while our children are getting sicker. It's never American multinational corporations behind any of this. We're putting that to an end. Let's hear from Bobby Kennedy Jr. We are targeting illegal Chinese vapes, and we will stop them from poisoning our children. I'm sure it's fine.
The Chinese are getting richer while our children get sicker. And we're putting an end to that between August 1st and August 14th in partnership with the ATF. FDA did purchases at distributors in 5 different states, in Illinois, New Jersey, North Carolina, Arizona, and then we did more in California and Florida. With ATF actually went to 14 different retailers. Our agency went to 5 different distributors. And the result is today we are doing raids, these kind of operations across the country to confiscate the vapes. Today, these gentlemen from ATF and FDA.
Indeed, $1 billion a state, right? If it's $50 billion for rural hospitals, yeah, $1 billion a state. How much is the hospital? The one over here where I'm at in the next county over from me, Madera County, did shut down. I think they're back up and running again. But I was like, think of the level of corruption with all of the bat money they threw at these healthcare facilities, and you still can't figure it out. You know what I mean? Like the level of corruption, grift, graft, outright fraud, and theft is just otherworldly. No one gets in trouble. HHS and Border Patrol seize $86.5 million of illegal e-cigarettes, the largest ever operation going on there. Now, does the government care if they're illegal e-cigarettes, or are they just pissed off because they didn't get their tax out of it? You know what I'm saying? If they would just paid them off, I'm sure everything would be fine right now. Okay, moving on to... Did I have to play the? I had to play this for you. This is at the 50 states, one aardvark land meeting. Like, what do you even say to this weirdness? Here you go. As they're openly committing genocide, probably killing people right now as we speak, no doubt. They're in Gaza City.
Over the rainbow, birds fly. These birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, why can't I? This is Yaron Bachar on the piano.
Talk about make you want to throw up. 50 states, one aardvark land. Here it is. Here's I forget the guy's name. What the heck's the guy? I forget this general's name, but he's the head of U.S. CENTCOM there that puts their logo over the map right here, right? Because they know control this region, you control the world. And so here he is, former radical jihadist terrorist, now reformed president of Syria, meeting up with CENTCOM over the weekend. There it is. This guy had like a $10 million bounty on his head for being an Al-Qaeda terrorist. Now he meets with the head of CENTCOM, Commander Admiral Brad Cooper. There's another one too, I forget his name. Just complete maniacs, but wow, from 9/11 to being the president of Syria. I don't think that guy had anything to 9/11, but we're told Al-Qaeda terrorists are going to kill everybody. And here he is meeting up with, this guy's been quite a rise. I would say the only thing that could do this is Western intelligence. Here he is meeting up with the president of Turkey, right? It's just like, what the hell is going on? Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, says this U.S. military operation is about regime change, not drugs. They want a puppet government, Venezuela's oil, to pressure OPEC plus, and control the world's largest reserves. Venezuela will never be anyone's colony, Maduro said. Here is, are you a pro-crime commie? Because due process, F you, trust the government. We don't know if these are fishermen, drug smugglers, what the hell. This is what the government's telling us, no evidence whatsoever. They just, I believe it was 3 people killed by the government because they're alleged drug traffickers here. The White House put this out. Be warned. If you're transporting drugs that can kill Americans, we are hunting you. The illicit activities by these cartels have wrought devastating consequences on American communities for decades. See CIA drug smuggling. It's coming from inside the house. It's been very well documented here now. Killing millions of Americans, no longer. I think Trump alleged 300 million people have been killed by drugs. Drugs are bad. Don't do drugs, kids. But they can't just go around assassinating whoever and point the finger at you and say you're a drug trafficker. Or can they? I guess they can because they're doing it. Here's the second one. Due process, due process, due process. They whacked them with a drone. There you go. We don't know. We don't know who these guys are, what they're carrying, anything. We have to trust the criminal government, CIA drug smugglers here now. You know what I'm saying? It can be you next. That's the warning here. They can say, you're Hamas, you're a freaking drug trafficker, and whack you with no due process, as Barack Hussein Obama has already done to an American citizen, setting the precedent. Now you got a Republican in there and you'll cheer it on, MAGA. It's just truly disgusting. As we prepare, it looks like, for some type of more attack on Venezuela than just blowing up some fishing boats. U.S. forces in the Caribbean right now, 140 Tomahawk strike capacity, F-35s, Ospreys, Harriers, and 1,687 Marines are on standby right there off the coast and around Venezuela. The drug wars continue. Indeed, they do. They're cranking it up here now. And you don't have to like Maduro. Again, there's no good guys here. Like, get that through your head. Maduro's no good. Trump's no good. They could give a damn if you die of a drug overdose or you're strung out on drugs. This is about oil, natural resources, control. Right down here on the map, Guyana had, remember, like a year and a half ago, all right here was reported massive oil was found when Venezuela was threatening to go to war with Guyana. And so what the hell? US and UK are both like, oh, hell no. We're jumping in here, taking your ass out and whatever Guyana has and taking all of this. You see? Venezuelan civilians are allegedly now training with firearms to defend Venezuela against the United States threat. Well, what the hell? You know what I mean? Do you blame them? Here's a funny one. So I guess it's Trump's drug war. We're the police of the world. And no due process. And the government just whacks you and says you're bad. That's where we're at as they are rolling National Guard into Memphis, Tennessee, here in America. And the right wing cheers it on. You see where we are here now. Channel 4 to mark Trump's UK visit with longest uninterrupted reel of untruths ever broadcast on television. I thought this was funny. Stupid, but you know what I mean? They're going to pump out propaganda there against Trump in the UK. Trump versus the truth will run for several hours on September 17th and is set to be punctuated by brief text-based fact checks. And they're going to run Channel 4 out of UK, Big Brother, where all this bullshit originated from. Channel 4 is welcoming Donald Trump to the UK with a special program, an unbroken catalog of over 100 falsehoods, distortions, and inaccuracies he's come up with since taking office in January. So that shall be funny. You have to laugh to stop from crying. They're out of the UK, greeting Trump warmly on the aardvark genocide. It's just beyond the pale. Again, little Marco over there licking, kissing the wall, drooling over the Zionist genocidal, homicidal maniacs. Like, what do you even say at this point? He's now genocide Marco.
This is a message from the government of Israel. The Global Summit Flotilla, 50 boats with hundreds of people from 44 countries, is heading to Gaza, carrying terrorist items such as baby formula, medicines, flour. Crew members include Greta, European MP, doctors and lawyers, clearly all anti-Semites. There's literally no other explanation for what to feed starving children. We ask you to ignore this historic moment of international solidarity, which proves some of us are still fucking human. Do not find them on Instagram or follow their journey on the Flotilla tracker, cause how are we meant to take a huge shit on international law by intercepting the flotilla in international waters, prevent it from delivering humanitarian aid in accordance with the Geneva Convention, and murder its crew like we did in the past if the world is watching. And if we attempt that, do not be ready to shut shit down worldwide. Sure, genocide scholars, even our own organizations, are saying deliberate starvation, targeting doctors and hospitals, displacing millions, and destroying 90% of houses, preventing people's return, killing entire entire families, multiple generations, and thousands of children legally constitutes genocide. But remember, past genocides, bad. Genocides in your own lifetime, complicated. Thanks to all the governments who are leaving it to these civilians to uphold international law. Especially our pedo-loving sugar daddy fuckbag who lets us do what we want. Even bomb Qatar. And props to Australia for selling us parts of weapons. Thank you for your complicity. Now send us more money and ammo.
Sorry about the buffering on a couple of these videos. I swear they're throttling. It may be my computer though. Yeah, the genocide there continues. In the past 24 hours, 34 Palestinians have been killed, including one recovered from underneath the rubble, and 316 have been injured, according to Gaza Ministry of Health. And so aardvarks are getting behind on their, it's like averaging a rough, just dirty average of it's like 100 a day. So they're way behind today. But again, as of March 18th of this year, 2025, 12,354 Palestinians have been killed and 42,805 injured. So what is that? Half of March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So what are we? 6.5 months. They killed 12,000, over 12,000. The famine is going on there, the siege. Due to famine and malnutrition, 3 have been reported dead today or in the last 24 hours. Since the IPC's declaration of famine in Gaza, 147 have been recorded dead, and including 30 children. But they're all Hamas. But the problem is you and I can be named Hamas next by these genocidal maniacs. I hope people could wrap their minds around that.
I just said this in another meeting, and they said, oh, Israel is isolated. Israel can't break out of the siege. And I said, we will. Some of them have stopped weapon component shipments. Can we get out of this? Yes, we can. We're pretty good at producing weapons. Like intelligence, we share both with the United States. A good chunk of your intel. And our weapon systems, we share with the United States. We're tremendously appreciative of the bipartisan support in military matters to Israel in previous years and today as well. But do you have cell phones? Any? You have cell phones here? No? You're holding a piece of Israel right there. You know that? I mean, a lot of the cell phones, the medicines, the foods, you eat cherry tomatoes. You know where that was made? I don't like cherry tomatoes, but it's an Israeli. What can I do? It's an Israeli product, as are so many other things. And I think this serves the betterment for the betterment of all mankind. And
so that phone, yeah, it's got aardvark spyware in there. It's for our own safety, of course. Here's little Marco. Hamas are not agents of peace. I don't think anybody ever said they were. They're a creation of Western intelligence, aardvark land. They always leave that part out. But agents of terror and barbarism. They are still holding 48 hostages. They change that number every other friggin' day. Who knows?
The reality of it is we still have 48 hostages. We still have a Hamas that is not only holding 48 hostages, they're holding Gaza hostage, and they're using civilians as human shields. They're still a dangerous element, and as long as they exist, as long as they're around, there will be no peace in this region, because they are not agents of peace, they are agents of barbarism. And it's still a fundamental fact that the people of Gaza deserve a better future, a future which is not possible until the hostages are all released and Hamas no longer exists.
You can't kill an idea, so the war will never end, according to our Secretary of State, little Marco. Bindi says that he has to mute it when old Netanyahu speaks. Yeah, Yeah. But we should pay attention when he tells us what's going on here. Here you go. More from little Marco. Says that Palestinians are barbaric animals. Of course they are. Anybody that I don't like is a barbaric Hamas terrorist animal, except for the new president of Syria, who's now reformed and meeting with CENTCOM, right? Right.
The hostages out. All of them. Every single one of them, both living and deceased, all of them. There should never have been hostages. This should never have happened. Okay, this happened because on October 7th, these animals, these barbaric animals, conducted this operation, and against innocent people that had nothing to do with any of this. And that's why this all started. We've forgotten that. People have forgotten that that's where this all began. That's why the president keeps saying, remember October 7th. We wouldn't even...
That's not where this began.
...be having these conversations right now if these, barbarians had not done what they did. So this is what brought us to this point. It needs to end. And how does it end? It ends by eliminating the people who did it, by ending them as a threat. It ends by releasing every single hostage, both living and deceased. There should never have been a hostage. There should not be a hostage now. And then, when all of that is done, then we can begin to work, I hope, internationally, to providing the people of Gaza the kind of future that they deserve, but that they will never have as long as a group like Hamas exists. So that's been our focus. And obviously, we have been the focus and at the core of much of what we talked about. How do we achieve what I believe is a shared goal, not just of the United States and Israel, but of multiple countries around the world and certainly in the region who want to see the same outcome. And that's what we've been focused on. That's been the president's focus. And he wants that to all happen as soon and as quickly.
Mm-hmm. Secretary of State, little Marco Rubio pledges unwavering U.S. support for Aardvark lands genocide in Gaza. Here's an image. I think we have video of it, but doesn't this just touch your heart? There with Huckabee as well, the U.S. ambassador. But he owes his allegiance to America, America first, as proven by this picture, right? Aardvark land threatens Hamas wherever they are, as Qatar hosts that Arab summit mentioned by Simon earlier. Qatar's still fit to be tied about getting bombed by aardvarks to allegedly take out the Hamas leadership that was trying to negotiate a ceasefire deal. Aardvark land PM Netanyahu doesn't rule out future strikes on Hamas wherever they are. That's what I'm telling you, because I heard the argument out there, well, Palestinians are such scumbag, barbaric, barbarians. What did Rubio say? They're barbaric animals, right? That's the argument that you hear, that nobody will even take them. Nobody wants to take them. Well, take a look. If they took them, they would go and whack your country too, because people are like, well, where's Egypt? Why don't they take them? Why doesn't Jordan take these Arab Muslims? How about Lebanon? Oh, well, never mind. They're whacking the hell out of Lebanon right now. But so there you have it. Wherever they are. So, hey, you may be Hamas next. Don't like what old aardvarks are doing? They'll finger you next, or finger you as a drug trafficker. Here you go. Would you rule out further strikes on Hamas operatives in foreign sovereign countries in the region? Netanyahu says no. That's a war. That's a war. The operation in Qatar did not fail because its goal was to convey a message that there is no safe place for terrorists. Netanyahu said, but what if he's the terrorist? Netanyahu went on to say, this is our city, talking about Jerusalem. It is forever our city. It will never again be divided, and there will not be a Palestinian state. UN expert, Albanese, sanctioned, shunned from society, from polite society, allegedly, for her report back in July, documenting corporate and state profiteering from genocide, ethnic cleansing, war crimes, crimes against humanity. She said Aardvark land is bombing using unconventional weapons. It is trying to forcibly evacuate Palestinians. Why? This is the last piece of Gaza that needs to be rendered unlivable before advancing the ethnic cleansing of that piece of land. That's exactly what they're doing. Here's some video. They're blowing up. They're leveling the whole place. Here is the Al Ghafri Tower west of Gaza City. They're going to level the entire place. There's more. Oh, but there's more. What's the next one? This is Al Shaba residential complex in Gaza City earlier today. Those are terror buildings, according to Defense Minister Katz. Aardvark PM. Bibi, Shadow President of America, remarks about Aardvark land becoming economically isolated. We played that a little bit, that clip, you know, where they're asking him about it because and on this talk, it saw the Aardvark Land Tel Aviv Stock Exchange saw a significant downturn, with the real estate index posting the steepest decline among economic sectors. They're getting ready to steal a bunch of real estate. That should help. And then here's the sickening display. I'll read it to you there, Bindi, so you don't have to hear from them. Netanyahu posts this on the X. He says, today, I had the privilege of praying at the Western Wall in Jerusalem together with my wife, Sarah, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his wife, and the U.S. Ambassador to Aardvark land, Mike Huckabee, and his wife. We offered a prayer for the peace of the hostages and a special prayer in honor of President of the United States, Donald Trump, a true friend of the Aardvark people and of the state of Aardvark land. This visit is a testament to the resilience and strength of the American Aardvark Alliance, an alliance that is as strong and enduring as the stones of the Western Wall. Under the leadership of President Trump, together with Secretary of State Rubio, this alliance has never been more solid. Thank you, Marco, dear friend of Aardvark land. Talk about make you want to throw up. Go ahead and bomb another sovereign country, and we, America, will look the other way. More pictures, more images of this. This should concern every American. What do they call these little stupid hats? Kipkas? What is up? What is up with that? Creepy, occult, treason, dare I say? Here's video of these. I don't think Bibi's talking on this one, but we can play a little bit of video of this occult behavior.
מאבטח אפשר, אנחנו לא רואים. מנצור, אתה לא יכול לעמוד שם. לא. מאבטח, תהינו אותנו לצלם, לא אותך. אפשר עלינו? אני לא רוצה לצלם פה אחורה. לא רואים.
know. Looks like treason to me there, little Marco. Yeah, they're flattening Gaza City as we speak. Spain Prime Minister wants aardvark land banned from sports events after chaos at cycling race. Report out of the AP there over in Spain. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez today called for aardvark land to be banned from sporting events after pro-Palestinian activists disrupted the end of the Spanish Volta cycling race in chaotic scenes out of Madrid. Could see there. Aardvark Land's foreign minister responded by calling Sanchez an anti-Semite and a liar. Can you just turn that around and say, well, you're a racist against Latinos from Spain, Mr. Aardvark minister? You know what I mean? It's just name calling, childish as people die here now. Where are we at? I think, well, we have a little bit more. Profits from Norway's World Cup qualifier against aardvark land go to relief group in Gaza. The Norwegian Football Federation has said profits from Norway's World Cup qualifier against aardvark land in October, so it's coming up next month, will go to Doctors Without Borders, an organization providing humanitarian relief in Gaza. Well, they're all Hamas. Sorry to tell you there, Norway. UN experts says aardvark land has deliberately killed journalists. You don't say. They're targeting journalists. But don't be a Hamas. The United Nations Human Rights Council Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Expression, Irene Khan, has accused aardvark land of deliberately killing journalists in the Gaza Strip in order to cover up atrocities. A total of 252 reporters have been killed in the Gaza war since the attack on October 7th, the worst attack in the history of the world, as we're continually beaten over the head with and lied to about. Many have been targeted, deliberately picked out, and killed because of the work they do to expose the atrocities, Khan said at the UN today. She emphasized that journalists must also be protected near combat zones under international law. Yeah, right. Yeah, right, lady. They don't give a damn. Egypt's president says aardvark land's actions hinder chances of new peace treaties in the region. You don't say. They may whack you, old Al-Sisi, next. You know what I mean? They're like, why doesn't Egypt take in the Palestinians? Well, because they'll go in and whack Egypt next. And this guy's corrupt too. There are no good guys in this thing. You get it? At the Arab Islamic Summit in Doha, he said, what is happening right now hinders the future of peace, threatens your security and the security of the peoples in the region, and adds obstacles to chances for any new peace agreements and even aborts existing ones. Looks like Hamas talked to me, and it said they'll whack you anywhere and just call you Hamas or call you a drug trafficker. That's where we're at here on this Monday, September 15th, 2025. You should be very concerned about what is happening here in America, in West Asia, and around the world as we're going into a new world order. And the large majority of America is blind to what is going on here. Thank you for joining me on this Monday edition. Let's go to the channels quickly. Who do we got on the Odysee? Shout out to Gurr and John. Thank you guys for tuning in. I thought the first avalanche for mandatory public schooling was a Persian aristocrat named Maybe it was, I think, for mainstream, but they said that was the first ever. I don't think it was an avalanche, though. You know what I mean? Patel is a scumbag, Kerr said. You don't say. It's a lying criminal. So perfect head for the FBI. He is, and so is most of Trump's cabinet. Lutnick, for example. Exactly. He's an aardvark with his eye on America's pension plans. Altman, the aardvark that is accused of molesting his sister, his little sister. Indeed. Gurr says this whole story stinks. I agree. Welcome to the show, folks. Looks like a patsy and some type of mind control radicalization program by intelligence agencies on the interwebs. Miller's another piece of S. They have a nice little chat going on there back and forth. Let's see. There might be Hamas fighters coming to Fresno soon. There may be. There may very well be. Obama killed 2 citizens in Yemen. After killing the father, he had the 16-year-old son killed. Yeah, and we're all lucky. Indeed. Setting the precedence for extrajudicial assassinations with the stroke of a pen. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee, the Rumble chat. See how that's going. Sorry we couldn't integrate it to the program today. Karen, Chloe, Govin. No, there are a whole series of these ads, satirical group, quite left leaning but funny. Let's see here. And Russia and China, they all got U.S. high military technology from Clinton. Yeah, that's fine. We're still buying uranium from Russia right now to this day, and other minerals and other things. You know what I mean? So it's fine. Let's see here. Carrie, shout out to Carrie. Gunther. Nobody believes this. Sorry, a lot of MAGAs do. Maybe it's just the, clown influencers pumping propaganda, but go read some of their crazy posts and in the comment. Maybe it's all bots. I don't know. I don't know. Anybody could halfway think and believe it, but they're calling for blood, man. They're calling for blood. Shout out to you guys on the Rumble. Thank you for tuning in on this Monday. Bitchute, thank you for tuning in on the Bitchute. The YouTube, as always, again, thank you for that super chat from Plutonium Productions. Excuse me. Thank you for that super chat. First one I ever got. I appreciate it. What else do we got? YouTube, Twitch, X, Kick, and Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in on all those channels. I appreciate it. Let's pray for our country to have get a grip on some sanity here now, as it looks like they're cranking up a civil war here in America. Blame transgender furries from outer space and your favorite left-wing Democrat for all that ails you, and everything will be fine here, right? As Stephen Miller from the Trump administration basically said, we're going to war with the left. So there you go. Classic divide and conquer, balkanization. Instead of all of us Joe Blows getting together, the 99%, and pointing our finger back at the oligarch elite and the government and saying, no, you guys are actually the ones engineering all of this chaos, division, and war. You know what I mean? All right, with that, I'm going to sign off on this Monday broadcast of Weaponized News. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. As always, do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your